Perfect. Okay, so welcome everybody to the October edition of VR Bytes EDU. We're really excited to share some awesome content with you this afternoon, all about career exploration utilizing your VR headsets. So, to get things rolling, I'll just briefly introduce the two of us that are presenting today. My name's Josh Knutson. I'm the Virtual Reality and Esports Solutions Director here at ByteSpeed. I've been with ByteSpeed for a little under a year and a half. For those of you who aren't familiar with what we do, we're an IT solutions manufacturer. So we work directly with, schools primarily, getting them desktops, laptops, servers, kind of everything you name it under the sun as far as esports and VR and kind of IT solutions are concerned. So we've partnered with amazing companies like Up360 on the software side to be able to offer a full solution when it comes to things like virtual reality. In my role, I handle a lot of the conversations directly with the educators, the teachers that are actually in the classroom doing the work, teaching kids and using this technology. And we kind of help out with trying to make those deployments as smooth as possible and getting you the right technology in your hands. My partner today on the webinar is Harrison from Up360, and I'll let him introduce himself and a little bit about what Up360 does.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, Josh. So as Josh said, my name's Harrison. I run a company called Up360, and we're basically the techies behind the scenes of all the interesting and cool VR experiences that you guys see. We run a shop of about 16 people, and we build a whole wide array of projects, typically in partnership with employment centers or government agencies for a whole wide variety of needs, from career exploration to things like training and micro-credentialing, all that fun stuff in between. And primarily, actually, we're a shop of game designers, game developers, and we're kind of using our knowledge of the game design world and the game design process for higher purposes.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being with us today, Harrison. It's always a treat, and we love talking about this solution, kind of CTE with VR in general. And that's, I think, a great place to start, is kind of talking about what we're going to cover today. We'll start real simply talking about why VR is great to kind of explore CTE and STEM content. And then we'll really dive in with Harrison and his solution, Career Labs VR. That's going to be kind of like the main meat of what we'll talk about today, the different opportunities that are there for professional development to go alongside that awesome software suite. And then we'll kind of round out the day with just a brief overview of some hardware that you can look at through ByteSpeed, and then any questions that pop up during the presentation. I do have the Q&A live, for the duration of today's presentation. So if you have questions that pop up during, please feel free to submit them and use the chat function. Harrison and I will do our best to try and answer those as they come through, or, we have some time set aside at the end to kind of buzz through the questions that we don't get to. So try and be as interactive as you want to. And we're excited to see kind of what you're looking to learn and kind of help move things along. So to get started here, let's just talk about VR for CTE exploration in general. From ByteSpeed's standpoint, especially when I was first hired back in May of last year, there was a very large conversation that we kept having with schools and career centers and different organizations, colleges in the mix too, that there was a real need for more CTE style content, whether that be, helping students get exposed to kind of the trades and some of the areas that, they weren't equipped to do in-house. And there was a big conversation around, well, is VR the solution to that problem? And one of the things that ByteSpeed really took a hard look at was trying to find a partner to help answer those questions. And that's kind of how the relationship between Up360 and ByteSpeed came along, and trying to answer this question of what is the really good CTE content out there, and how can we pair that to meet the needs of these schools that are really starving for this style of content. And VR is a great solution to those questions and those problems, because it kind of hits a couple of really key areas in the form of like hands-on learning that, sometimes we can't necessarily do in a traditional, classroom setting. And it's a really great way to drive interest into a wide variety of careers. And Harrison will be able to touch on that quite a bit here in a second. But that's kind of how we started to look at this CTE style solutions for virtual reality. VR lets us get into environments that might not be possible in a physical space. You talk about some of the apps that we have listed here on the screen are not necessarily, Up 360 apps, but there are other career technical STEM apps that are out there. With Wrench VR, we can actually get to the inside of an engine, and be able to look at the inner workings of things that, us as humans just physically can't, but through the lens of a VR headset, we're able to take a different look at it. And Harrison, I would love for you to kind of jump in here and talk about this job shadowing problem and how, CTE Exploration kind of solves that issue. Maybe talk just a little bit about why you guys got started with career labs in general.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the history is an important place to start because, like I said, we're simply a development firm. We're kind of the techies behind the scene, and in all the different projects that we participate in, there's always an industry lead or a center or a site government organization that is really driving the project forward. And in the case of our project, Career Labs VR, that we're working on, that came out of a group called the Employment Education Center. And they were the ones who identified the need to really reinvent and reimagine the tools that were being used in the kind of the CTE space and the career exploration space, specifically in workforce development centers and employment centers. A lot of the methodologies, a lot of the stuff that were being done in those centers were quite outdated and very antiquated, in the sense that, like, for the longest time, you ask people the same questions, you show them pictures, you show them videos, you potentially try to set up a job shadow, but you just do a simple personality test. Oftentimes it doesn't really get at the root of if somebody would be good in a particular job, and to set up job shadows and to actually get somebody on the site of a real career, a real work site, oftentimes is extremely difficult. It's extremely expensive, and not to mention safety concerns, especially when you're talking about things like CTE type of careers and trades. To get a young person with no experience on a construction site, it's near impossible half the time. So really, we came together with them exploring, hey, is VR a possible solution for this? And one thing led to another, and the project just kind of blown up in a good way in front of us. And now really what we're trying to do, and what we've been doing for the last couple of years now, is basically building out a library of in-demand careers, and pairing that with training on how to actually go through and assess somebody, whether it's somebody in an employment site or whether it's somebody in a school board working with a guidance counselor. How can you cross-reference the experience that somebody is having, and pick out certain things that you're noticing about an individual and ask the right questions at the right moment in time, so that you can really paint a clear, tangible picture of what an individual would want to go into for a future occupation. And that really is what Career Labs is all about. It's all about helping people explore careers and helping them find a future that's going to be satisfying to them, and also helping steer people into careers that are in high demand in a number of areas. And again, the trades right now, I think, is the biggest space that if we can't get young people and kind of the next generation of workers involved in that space, we're going to be in a lot of trouble here in the next couple of decades. So Career Labs is really solving that need of how can you explore careers from the comfort of your classroom, from the comfort of your guidance counselor's office, from the comfort of a career practitioner's office or your local employment center. And we found using virtual reality as a way to let them do that and get that hands-on tangible experience without ever having to leave the comfort of their own space. So Career Labs, like I said, it's virtual reality career exploration, and there's a couple of things that go along with that. It's getting everybody trained up and how to actually facilitate one of these virtual career exploration sessions. But when we're talking about the careers that are available currently and kind of the careers that are up and coming, that we actually just released, I think last month, another 5. We've got 15 in total on the platform as a part of the kind of Career Labs suite. And we have everything from some of the careers you guys see on screen here: stick welding, robotics technician, heavy equipment operator. And the last batch of careers that we just released include things like CNC operator, manual machinist, a few different mining careers. And again, a lot of these up and coming trade-based careers. And every individual experience is built in partnership with companies, in partnership with associations, and typically also in partnership with different academic institutions that are actually the ones that you would go to for, like, say, getting your electrical ticket. And we kind of consult with all of these different partners to take in, what does it actually mean to be a stick welder? The intention of Career Labs isn't to train somebody to be a welder, but it's to give them that hands-on experience, so that when they finish this kind of condensed 30-minute experience, they'll be able to say, okay, now I understand what a stick welder does, and kind of get an idea of a lot of the core tasks, working potentially at heights on scaffolding, a steady hand and holding the welding torch, kind of the claustrophobia of putting the welding mask on. These experiences encompass all of those key components. So again, you can kind of put somebody through 2 or 3 or 4 of them and start to draw patterns of whether or not certain types of careers would be a good fit. So although there's only 15 on the platform, pulling out all the different bits and pieces that you'll kind of learn and see people discover about each one of these, you're able to kind of cross-reference those with potentially hundreds of other occupations to really find a pathway that is a good fit for an individual.
Awesome. I think one of the things that I love that you highlighted is that this is a really great way to get into a bunch of different scenarios and expose students, especially who, might not be looking at the traditional college route of like, hey, I'm going to go and study for another, 2 to 4 years, to get a degree in something that is a little bit more of your traditional like office job kind of feel. And being able to kind of showcase a lot of the different trades that, there might be a little bit different pathway to getting a career in that environment. I think, one of the good things about Career Labs and being able to move from each one of these, scenarios is to be able to get a wide breadth of the different careers that are out there. This is not all encompassing, but it has a lot of the different high key mark areas that, okay, we're doing things, with our hands in welding, or, we're operating heavy equipment and being able to see what that would be like. And it hits a lot of those, the different areas in the trades that we would traditionally think of. But what kind of is the pathway that you guys foresee in adding more, careers to the overall suite? You mentioned that you just launched a couple here in the last month or so. Thinking long-term, are there different industries that you're going to highlight, or is, what can you talk about kind of the projected path there?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think what we're looking at doing kind of in the next chapter of the project, so every year we release a minimum of 4 new careers to the platform. This year we released 10, and we're going to be releasing another 10 up and coming in next September. And really the areas that we're looking at are, again, those future proof areas. So I think getting a few more trades in here will be critical, because there's a few key ones that I think are in demand jobs that we're missing. And then also potentially looking at sectors like agriculture, and what does the future of agriculture look like, and what does it mean to work in some of these spaces that when you say agriculture, everybody automatically just thinks, hey, farmer. But those types of industries are so much more than what people kind of have impressions in their mind about. So that's kind of some of the areas that we're exploring and that we're looking into. And one other thing, Josh, that I do want to kind of backtrack on a little bit here, that you were kind of mentioning around potential use cases for this and how it can be used. We have seen a lot of really great success stories coming out of school boards and coming out of these workforce development sites for a couple of really great use cases. And one of my personal favorites that one of the school boards, who actually is kind of right in my area, uses it quite frequently for, is actually women in trades. So they will pull groups of girls out of the classroom and bring them into the library or bring them into the gym, and they'll have kind of a half day or a session with a small group of girls around what does it mean to get into the trades, and again, opening those potential career pathways for people who would have never in 100 years considered those as possible occupations. So women in trades, youth in trades, and then also using this with students who might have certain motivational issues or certain challenges in schools, and really helping them break out of their shell and helping them get motivated about the school that they're doing because they find kind of that end goal that they want to work towards. We've seen this work really, really well as a conversation starter around a lot of trades, but also as a motivator for students who just, again, aren't necessarily motivated in school because they don't know where they want to end up when they get into their 12th year or 13th year and they're graduating.
Awesome. We had a question come through from Danita. Any plans for cybersecurity kind of training or kind of taking a look at that career field?
Yeah, Danita, that's a good question. That is one that we have kind of had brought to our attention a couple of times, but it is a career that, in our opinion, isn't necessarily the best fit for virtual reality, because a career like cybersecurity requires people to be behind a computer and potentially doing a lot of IT services work, things of that nature. So we feel that right now it might not be the best fit for VR. We're kind of starting with the ones that are much harder to explore in person or job shadow. So it's a lot of trades-based stuff out of the gate, but that's definitely a good contender for the future as kind of what we're capable of developing expands over the next few years.
Awesome. Let's kind of dive in a little bit more. I have kind of next in here just an overview. There's a ton of real quick snippet videos that you guys have produced, and we'll take a look at one here in a second. But if you go to the Up360 YouTube channel, and I think Harrison linked the careerlabsvr.com in the chat for everybody to look at. There's a bunch of different careers that are outlined that, you know, we might cover or we might talk about today. But the full list, there's a big playlist that you can watch, kind of go through and kind of get a sense of what you'll actually get yourself into when you use the Career Labs VR suite.
Yeah. So Josh, I'll jump in there. So the best place to view the playlist and view all of the experiences that are available currently is actually on the Career Labs website. We list out all the careers. We have a little description of each and every one of them. And then each of those also come with a little 60-second kind of teaser video to give you guys a sense of what it's all about. There is some snippets on our YouTube channel, but our YouTube channel has a whole bunch of everything that we do, from some of the other projects in cooking and hospitality, some of the training tools. So if you're just interested in kind of VR in general, check out our YouTube channel. But if you want to dig into kind of all of the Career Labs related stuff and you're interested in that as a potential career exploration tool, I say check out the Career Labs VR website. And also, I just saw a question come in here, from Craig on OSHA training. Craig, that is something that we're kind of working on in the background right now. We don't have a release date for OSHA training, but it is one that was actually brought to our attention, I would say about 6 months, 12 months ago, when we were touring different penitentiaries. And in the penitentiaries, there's no way for trainers to be able to bring in all of the stuff to do OSHA training. So that kind of inspired us to start building out bits and pieces of OSHA, so that it can be kind of a learning substitute, so you don't have to necessarily sit through that class. You can take bits and pieces of the training in, and then you'd still have to go to like a certified OSHA trainer to complete that test. But that's something that is on our development map right now.
Awesome. I do have one of the videos loaded up here. So this is the welding one we can take a quick look at. And this is just kind of one of those real quick 60-second fly through videos. And Harrison, anything to add as we go through, feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. So as this is kind of playing, and unfortunately the quality is never great when we're playing through Zoom here, but the environments we build out based typically on real environments or kind of a mesh of real environments. And this particular experience, you start at the workbench and then you end up working your way up to welding on different scaffolding. So you get a little bit of everything. You get kind of the feel for it on the ground, and then you get for the feel for it up in the air and having to kind of perform that same task over and over again in all sorts of crazy positions that you would have to kind of put yourself into as a construction welder.
So let's talk about kind of what's all included in the annual subscription to Career Labs VR. And Harrison, you can kind of talk about what the site license does and kind of how that works. But I think that there's a lot of great additional materials that you've added in to go alongside the VR software. So if you just want to kind of talk about what you get when you actually are looking at the solution from a top to bottom perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you mentioned there, Josh, it's not just the simulations. The VR component, again, is an awesome piece of it. But really what we've done here is we've built out a system. So making sure that you guys as the facilitators and as the career practitioners and guidance counselors understand how do you facilitate a virtual reality career exploration session. We give everybody some online resources and some training that you can go through self-guided. Access to be able to kind of book live support sessions with ourselves and our team should you need to ask any really specific questions and you just want to kind of talk through different components of the project through. Have fly through videos, marketing material so that you guys can promote in your communities that you have career labs and kind of attract students to want to use this kind of stuff. Detailed manuals on each and every one of the simulations so that you understand, well, the person is going through the headset. If they get stuck, what do they have to do to kind of unstuck themselves, as well as observation forms. So as a student or as a person is going through, making sure again you're picking out key terms, you're asking them specific questions on particular parts of the simulation to really extract as much information out of these virtual career exploration sessions as you possibly can. And the subscription, we sell it as a subscription-based service. So in your annual subscription, you get all of that, plus any careers we add throughout the year. And we sell it in the form of a site license, which allows you guys to start using it on up to 3 devices at a particular location.
Awesome.
And in terms of compatibility, I'm sure, Josh, that's probably what you're going to jump into next, but we support all PC-based VR headsets. So whether you guys have existing stuff or whether you're looking for ByteSpeed to get you guys set up with new VR gear, Windows Mixed Reality, the Vive, Vive Pro, the Vive Classic, all of those systems we support through Career Labs.
Yeah, we'll talk about hardware here at the end for sure, but that's a great thing to kind of keep in your mind as we're going through this. You know, if you already have VR equipment in your organization, or if you're looking to add new stuff, we have a bunch of different options out there based on kind of what your budget is and kind of what you're looking to do with the hardware. Just kind of in moving forward, a big piece of making sure that VR is implemented, successfully is having a little bit of professional development to go along with it. So I just want to talk a little bit here about what we have available and kind of what's already added in. Harrison talked a little bit about some of the resources that you get with the subscription. We'll kind of talk about that a little bit more in detail as well. But as far as PD goes, as far on ByteSpeed side of the house, we do have a couple of different options for training. Corinne Hoisington is our lead VR trainer, and she is fantastic. She travels around the country for us to help with different deployments, of all varying shapes and sizes with VR. So, in the past, we've done on-site virtual reality training, and we're starting to get back into that, very dependent on how things are going with COVID. So, there is a day-long VR course that we have offered in the past. And what Corinne will do during that training is kind of go through a top to bottom look at how we can be successful getting VR in the hands of your teachers and making sure that, you know, you're comfortable with the hardware and the software. And we already have Kyle in the chat has said Corinne is amazing. She is really, really phenomenal. So a lot of what she'll do is you know, take your organization, you know, if you're a school, the teachers that'll actually use the gear, she'll walk you through setup and how to be more comfortable with the hardware, you know, actually using the headset and the controllers, how to switch between apps, how to actually, you know, tie things into your curriculum. You know, for career exploration, it's not a one-to-one for training necessarily, but, you know, Harrison's talked about all the great use cases that you can kind of, you know, expose your students to this career exploration, being able to get a taste of a lot of those different trades and careers. And Corinne can kind of walk you through how to actually launch the Career Lab software and go through any of the other VR applications that you're wondering about. We've also, you know, to deal with, you know, the current state of the world and the coronavirus and things, we have started to do a little bit of online virtual reality training. So, you know, either over Zoom or Microsoft Teams is kind of the two platforms that we've been using for that, you know, based on what your organization's comfortable with. You know, covering a lot of those same topics, just Corinne is remote and we can kind of go through a remote demo. So she has gear at home that she can kind of go through and walk step by step, you know, alongside the people that are in person at your school, go through those same, how to connect the headset, how to get comfortable with the hardware, talk about the curriculum tie-ins and kind of answer any questions that you have. And we've also kind of taken that to the next level as well. There's a 2-day option that you can get to be a VR certified educator. And that's just a little bit more in depth. And that's a 2-day in-person class. So that's Corinne. She's amazing. Really, really great as far as, you know, being a on-site resource to help your deployments go well. Harrison talked a little bit about kind of some of the online resources that they already have too, as far as, you know, kind of mini professional development. Harrison, do you want to talk about some of the videos and stuff that you guys have available right off the bat?
Yeah, absolutely. So available as part of the subscription, you will get access to an online training through a platform called Talent LMS. That training will kind of brush you guys up to speed on kind of the health and safety, facilitating these sessions, getting clients in the headset, getting clients out of the headset, all of the kind of the fundamental stuff, the things to look for during sessions, kind of the preamble you go through with students and clients, as well as kind of the post stuff that you would do with people after sessions. So it covers all of that. And then with that, you also get walkthrough videos of each of the simulations, both kind of condensed videos for the purpose of being able to share and promote on social media, and then full 15 to 20 minute long videos of one of us going through the simulation. So you can really get a sense of everything that is included in that experience. And then in the event of another shutdown, those videos can also be used to share with students and to share with people in the school to kind of give them the ability to watch and experience and kind of take some knowledge out of it that way. So yeah, so that's kind of all of the kind of the base resources. And then again, always having us available as a resource if you have more specific questions, and we're always happy to kind of connect one school board with another school board of people using it, just so that you guys can kind of get as much information out of it as you possibly can, and kind of see what other sites are up to and how they're using it and how they're successful with it.
Awesome. We had 2 real quick questions about some of the careers, if you have been looking into them at all. Susie asked, you know, anything for healthcare careers like surgical tech or cardiovascular tech?
Yeah. So as of right now, no. And we don't have anything slated for the next 12 months in that area. And then I also see another question in the chat around high voltage line work. That high voltage line work is actually another one that has come across our radar. That one I think would be a fantastic use of VR. But just as of right now, kind of for the next 12 months, we're looking at a couple more trades and then some other stuff in agriculture, but definitely things that are on our list for future years. And the other thing too that I always say is if you guys have people in your communities, people in your networks that might be interested in actually developing one of their own experiences. So the Oklahoma high voltage line worker is a great example. We can always fast track careers and kind of work in partnership with different organizations, different government departments to say, hey, these are the careers that Oklahoma needs right now. How can we fast track them? How much is it going to cost to develop? And how can we work in partnership to kind of get that out there faster and kind of bring that into the Career Lab suite sooner rather than later?
Yeah, one of the cool things that I think you've lined out and talked a little bit about, already is that, while there's only 15 careers here, to start, you guys have a big development plan moving forward to add, experiences every year. So, the 15 that are out there right now cover a lot of different areas, but, if you look back and get rolling with what we have available now, you're going to get access to those new careers as they roll out, and it will expand as we go. And in the grand scheme of things, you guys are pretty new still, so it's exciting to see the development path and hear that you guys have a lot of things planned and in the works.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, and also anybody interested in just again VR in general and looking at more use cases and looking at some of the other projects that we've got on the work. Always feel free to reach out directly to myself or ask more questions to Josh, and he can relay it back to us. One technical question: Unity. Unfortunately, we are not. We are an Unreal Engine company. We find Unreal Engine gives us just a little bit more flexibility in terms of development engine and allows us to make our simulations a little bit more realistic than if we were to build them in Unity.
Awesome. And then finally, before we get to kind of like the last little Q&A section here, I was talking about hardware and kind of the couple of bundles that ByteSpeed has put together to kind of really, be focused to go alongside Career Labs and make sure that everything is working really nice and neat. We have two kind of main solutions. One we'll talk about that we actually developed with Harrison and his team to kind of get a bundled solution together for a really mobile use case, is the VR Pelican case that you see on screen here. This Pelican case actually, works really great, and it's small and compact, which I think is super important in a mobile setup. It includes the Pelican case that you see here with the custom foam inserts. That way, all of your gear is nice and tightly and neatly packed inside the case, doesn't shift around, and it's custom made for this solution. It comes with a VR-ready laptop, an Oculus Rift S headset, and then some kind of other accessories to go alongside the headset, just to make that deployment as easy as possible and kind of everything working together. So you get things like a replacement hygienic pad, which is super relevant for nowadays, especially with kind of what we're dealing with coronavirus. Rechargeable batteries, some extra other kind of incentives to kind of help everything work together. There's an adapter that helps the headset connect to the laptop, and everything runs off of what's in the kit. So it's a really great pre-installed, pre-white glove solution. So, as with all of the ByteSpeed products, if you're looking for something that's ready to go out of the box, this is a great solution, especially if you're going to be moving from place to place. If you're moving around in the district and want something that's a little more mobile, this is a great option. To go with a more stationary but still mobile solution, kind of within a building, if you're taking VR from classroom to classroom, the mobile cart that we have has been super popular in the last 6 months. This is kind of the current version of the VR cart. It's a height adjustable, lightweight cart that has a VR ready desktop on it. Includes the monitor, mouse, keyboard, all of the peripherals that you would need to run the computer and have it work with the headset. We have the same Oculus Rift S headset, kind of as our show model here on screen. And then all of the accessories that are included in the mobile kit. So the extra batteries, the the charger for the batteries, the extra hygienic face pad, the extra HDMI cable, and power strip and things, so that with this cart, all you're doing is plugging in one power strip to the wall, and everything else should be good to go. Current specs on the machine are kind of the gold standard for VR, and we do have the ability to customize both the laptop and the desktop if you're looking for things like more storage or kind of some of the upgrades that we have available. But the VR cart is great because it is really simple once you get things set up. All of the accessories and headsets will all hang on the cart. And like I said, it's height adjustable. So if you want to stand or sit, you can kind of make it fit to whatever use case that you're in. These have been super popular, especially with schools, and kind of being able to build out either a room or have something that can move from place to place and be a little bit more mobile, and be able to kind of be locked away in one space, or be able to move throughout the building if you have multiple groups that are wanting to use the VR setup and not have it just tied to one computer lab in one part of the building. If you have questions about the hardware solutions, you can certainly reach out to myself or anybody on the territory management team here at ByteSpeed. We'd love to talk to you more about kind of what you're getting with the bundle. But this is definitely a great way to get everything you need all in one easy solution, and either have it be super mobile with a Pelican case and a laptop, or have something that's great to move around inside a building with the VR cart. So that's kind of just a really brief overview of the hardware options. Harrison mentioned that they work with a number of different headsets. We can do things like swap out the Oculus Rift for the Vive Pro I or some of the other headset options that are out there. And then we'll just kind of make sure in the process of talking to you, what headset is the best fit for you, and also is going to run all of the apps, especially, career labs, and being able to function well with whatever software that you're running on the VR headset. So we can custom quote all of that for you, the hardware and the Career Lab subscription all together. So all you have to do is write one PO, which is super nice. And then we can kind of work with Harrison and his team on deployment and getting you set up with username and password and some of the more nuts and bolts of actually launching your accounts. So it should be a pretty simple, straightforward process. Like I said, you can either reach out to myself or anybody here at ByteSpeed, and we can help you get set up. So with that, I think we're ready to take questions if you have any. I know this is kind of a shorter webinar, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But if you have questions, feel free to launch them here in the chat or in the Q&A window. We'll kind of keep things open for a couple more minutes if there's anything else that rolls in. To get started and give you guys time to answer or ask some questions, Harrison, do you have any closing thoughts that you want to kind of end on?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is anybody who is potentially interested or on the fence, go to the Career Labs VR website. It's careerlabsvr.com, and read through all of the current simulations and watch those videos. I guarantee anybody who is familiar with VR, this is going to be some of the best VR content you've ever seen and you've ever tried. We've got a really great team behind this project, and we're just really proud of what we've been able to build out and accomplish over the last couple of years. If any questions do come up through browsing those experiences, do not hesitate to reach out to myself personally, or reach out to somebody on the ByteSpeed team.
Awesome. Yeah, I can definitely vouch and say that this is some of the best VR content out there. The experiences are super well done, and I always really enjoyed being able to run through them and kind of see what the team has done. So it's definitely a great VR product to be able to look into and do some cool things with. We did have something come through the chat. Really interested in teaching students to create VR. Does ByteSpeed have a framework for that? So we do have, coincidentally, another webinar planned for December. It'll be the VR Bytes EDU kind of edition for that month, talking more about creation instead of just consumption. We'll have a guest speaker from Jefferson Public Schools down in Louisville, Kentucky. Her name is Shannon Putman. She'll be talking about kind of more of the creation side of things. We don't necessarily have a solution for sale in the form of creation for VR content. You know, there are things like, you know, you can use Unity to program things, or, you know, Harrison and his team are using Unreal Engine. There are, you know, different softwares out there that you can build VR experiences through and be able to view that content and work through it on a VR headset. We do have a couple of resources that we can send that kind of walk through how you actually take something from Unity and get it to be viewable on a VR headset. But we don't really have a solution for sale, if that makes sense, as far as, you know, creating content. But we're working on kind of building out those resources. And like I said, the December version of this webinar will be on, it'll be all about creation of content as opposed to just consumption.
Yeah, and I'll add two things to that as well there, Josh. One of my personal favorite apps for creation is a program called Google Tilt Brush and Google Blocks. So Christine, I suggest you look into Google Tilt Brush and Google Blocks. It's very entry level. It's basically you're creating in VR and painting in VR, but as like an addition to a makerspace. It's a really phenomenal program that you can actually export your creations to a 3D printer with. And then Amazon has an engine, I believe it's called Amazon Sumerian, which is a no-code or low-code solution for building out virtual reality experiences and augmented reality experiences.
Awesome. And then Christine also had a question, you know, how do we get alerts for that webinar? You can, a couple of things will happen at the end of today. Everybody that attended or registered can, or will get a recording of the webinar with a small survey. And then there will be links to sign up for the next coming webinars. You can also follow us on social media. We'll post pretty regularly on ByteSpeed's Twitter, or look on our website and we'll have links to those upcoming webinars. If you actually go to bytespeed.com/webinars, we have that one up and you can register for it already. So a couple of different ways to stay in touch and be ready for the next couple of webinars, and Harrison may or may not be featured in those as well. So I don't think we've had any other questions come through. So I'll just say, you know, for everybody that joined us this afternoon, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to join us. I hope you've been able to kind of see some awesome solutions out there as far as, you know, career exploration. Certainly, you know, we'd love for you to check out Up360. They've been an incredible partner, and we're super impressed with everything that they have going. Like I said, it is one of the best VR experiences on the market, and they're doing some really cool things. And I think it's a great way for students to kind of get their feet wet with looking at careers that they might not be interested in, or might not know that they're interested in. And they're doing some amazing work. So thanks everybody for joining us today. Like I said, feel free to head on over to bytespeed.com/webinars. There's, you know, some future get-togethers that we'll have available. And, you know, we can't wait to see you next time.
Thanks so much, everybody.